Welcome to Dreamy Tales, where soothing stories guide you into a peaceful night's sleep. Enjoy imaginative bedtime stories that take you on a journey to the land of dreams, accompanied by relaxing background sounds to help you unwind and drift off easily. Perfect for both children and adults, Dreamy Tales is your ideal companion to relax, wind down, and enjoy tranquil moments. Don't forget to subscribe, like the video, and share it with others. Tune in, relax, and let your mind wander into a world of calm and serenity with us. It was a rainy afternoon, and Cinderella was tasked, as usual, with one of the most unpleasant chores. Her stepmother had asked her to clear out the attic, an enormous, dusty space filled with boxes piled high, old furniture covered in sheets, and stacks of items long forgotten. Every few minutes, her stepsisters called out complaints from downstairs, and her stepmother's voice echoed, reminding her to keep her place. As Cinderella dusted off one of the boxes, her gaze fell upon an unusual chest, half buried under a pile of old quilts. The chest was small, ornately carved, and adorned with a crest, a beautiful phoenix, its wings spread wide in flight. Cinderella recognized it as her family's symbol, something she hadn't seen since her mother's passing. Gently, she brushed off the dust and opened the chest, her heart pounding with curiosity. Inside, she found a delicate velvet pouch. Carefully, she lifted the pouch and opened it, revealing a letter folded neatly beside a radiant gem. Its colors shifted from blue to green to violet, as if holding a secret universe within. Cinderella's hands shook as she unfolded the letter, instantly recognizing her mother's handwriting. The words seemed to leap off the page, filling her with a bittersweet mix of longing and love. To my dearest Cinderella. This gem has been in our family for generations, meant only for those with a true heart. It holds a single wish, but only for those who prove themselves through courage, kindness, and wisdom. If you find this, know that you are ready for this journey, my sweet daughter. Remember, magic is not in the wish, but in the heart that makes it. Tears filled Cinderella's eyes as she held the letter close. Her mother had always believed in her, encouraging her to be brave and kind, even in the face of hardship. Now, with this gem, Cinderella felt a connection to her mother's love and wisdom, as if she were being guided from beyond. That night, Cinderella held the gem close and whispered, "I accept this challenge, Mother. I will prove myself." A warmth radiated from the gem, enveloping her in a comforting glow, as if affirming her readiness for the journey ahead. The next morning, Cinderella awoke in a different world. The warm beams of sunlight that usually greeted her had vanished. Instead, she found herself surrounded by towering trees and dense fog, in a shadowed forest where the sunlight barely reached the ground. The air was cool and damp, filled with the earthy scent of moss and the distant sound of leaves rustling. Her heart pounded, and her senses heightened. The silence was so deep that even the slightest sound felt magnified. She took a cautious step forward, clutching the gem in her hand for comfort. Every few steps, she stopped, listening for any signs of danger. Her mother's words echoed in her mind, reminding her that courage didn't mean the absence of fear, but the strength to face it. As she moved deeper into the forest, Cinderella became aware of a presence watching her. A heavy growl sounded from behind, making her freeze in her tracks. Slowly, she turned to see two piercing red eyes staring at her from the shadows. Her breath caught, but she forced herself to stay calm, remembering that this was a test. The creature stepped forward, revealing itself as a wolf, its dark fur blending into the shadows. It was massive, with powerful limbs and a proud, regal stance. Cinderella felt her fear melting away, replaced by awe and curiosity. "Hello," she said softly, her voice trembling. "I don't mean any harm." The wolf's growl softened, and it lowered its head, as if acknowledging her courage. To her amazement, the wolf spoke in a deep, resonant voice. "I am Orion, guardian of this forest and guide to those who seek bravery. You have shown courage by standing before me." Cinderella's eyes widened. "Thank you, Orion," she whispered, touched by the wolf's words. She felt a sense of pride, as if her mother were smiling down at her. Orion nodded, his wise eyes observing her carefully. Orion explained that he was cursed to frighten all who entered the forest, but she had shown a courage that lifted his curse. "I shall accompany you," he said, "for you have proven your bravery, but more challenges await." Together, they walked through the forest, the gem glowing brighter with each step. Cinderella felt a renewed sense of confidence, knowing she had passed the first test. The fog lifted, and Cinderella found herself in a small village surrounded by fields of withered crops. People moved about slowly, their faces etched with lines of exhaustion and worry. It was clear that they were struggling, and the air was thick with sadness. Cinderella and Orion observed the villagers quietly, and her heart ached for them. Children played with makeshift toys, their clothes tattered, while their parents looked on, unable to hide their weariness. Cinderella noticed a young girl clutching a single wilted flower, looking up at her with wide, curious eyes. "Where are your parents?" Cinderella asked gently. The girl explained that her family, like many others, struggled to make ends meet because of a wealthy merchant who controlled all the resources. He hoarded food and supplies in his grand mansion, demanding high prices that the villagers couldn't afford. Many families went hungry while the merchant lived in luxury. Cinderella felt a surge of anger and compassion. She wanted to help these people, to bring hope back into their lives. Orion, sensing her determination, nudged her with a reassuring look. Under the cover of night, Cinderella and Orion made their way to the merchant's mansion. The mansion was lavish, filled with shelves of food and treasures that the villagers desperately needed. Cinderella knew that taking the supplies would risk the merchant's wrath, but she couldn't bear to see the villagers suffer. Carefully, she filled sacks with essentials, bread, grain, fresh produce, taking only what each family needed. She left behind a note for the merchant, urging him to reconsider his actions and share his wealth with the community. By dawn, she had delivered food to every household, and the villagers gathered around her, their faces filled with gratitude and relief. They thanked her over and over, sharing their stories of hardship and expressing their hope for a better future. Cinderella's heart swelled as she realized that helping others had brought her more joy than anything else ever could. As she watched the villagers celebrate, the gem pulsed brightly, a sign that she had passed the test of kindness. With a flash of light, Cinderella found herself transported to a grand library. The shelves towered above her, filled with ancient books, scrolls, and artifacts. The air was filled with the scent of old parchment and candle wax, and the only sound was the soft crackle of a nearby fireplace. In the center of the room, an inscription glowed faintly. "True wisdom lies within, not just in words but in the understanding you carry." Cinderella felt a surge of curiosity, but also a sense of doubt. How could she, someone who had been hidden away and denied a true education, hope to solve a riddle that even scholars might struggle with? She spent hours examining the books, hoping to find answers. Each tome contained stories, parables, and philosophical questions, but none seemed to provide a direct solution. Frustrated but determined, she paused to reflect on what she had learned through her journey, the courage she had shown in the forest, the kindness she had offered to the villagers. Slowly, it dawned on her that wisdom wasn't about memorizing facts or solving riddles. It was about understanding the values her mother had taught her and living by them. Taking a deep breath, she spoke to the room. "True wisdom is found in the heart." The library trembled as her words echoed through the hall, and a hidden doorway opened before her. Cinderella entered, finding a small chamber where the gem glowed, brighter than ever. She knew now that she had passed the final test. Back in her familiar world, Cinderella held the gem, feeling its warmth and power. The thought of making a wish was thrilling, yet daunting. She could wish for wealth, freedom, or even revenge against her stepmother, but none of these wishes felt right. Instead, she thought of the villagers, her friends, and her newfound strength. Taking a deep breath, Cinderella whispered, "I wish for a future where kindness, courage, and wisdom can bring happiness to all." The gem's light spread across the land, touching every heart. Villagers found new hope, the merchant reconsidered his ways, and Cinderella, now wiser and stronger, became a true heroine in her own story.